first, we begin this morning with an ABC exclusive. The nation's e-safety commissioner has released a new report that's found a small number of dangerous and harmful voices, like self-proclaimed misogynist Andrew Tate, are having an outsized impact on young Australian men and teenage boys.
It comes as both major political parties throw their support behind the idea of banning 16-year-olds and under from social media. But questions remain over how it would be enforced. Well, let's go straight to our political reporter, Tom Lowry, who is at Parliament House for us this morning. G'day, Tom. Some troubling findings from this report. What can you tell us about them?
Yeah, good morning, James. So this study spoke to more than 100 young men aged between 16 and 21 about their experiences of being online, and it painted a really complex picture for these young people. Young men feel quite liberated by the experience of being online and finding new communities, but also quite anxious about it at the same time. They have concerns about things like online pornography, but also are very high users of it. And it found that there are a small number of very harmful voices, particularly figures like the controversial influencer Andrew Tate, who is a self-proclaimed misogynist and is facing sex charges in Romania as well. They really dominate conversations about things like masculinity. Julian McGrant, in this interview with the ABC, says that young men can think critically and do so in their experiences online, but it is a difficult space to be in as well. Here's a bit of what she had to say.
It's not these young men's fault. They have everything working against them, including the design of the technology, the recommender systems, and the algorithms that are driving these young men into potential rabbit holes. So, you know, young men and adolescents are looking for information about, you know, how to be physically fit, and they're struggling with, can I live up to these physical ideals? Can I live up to the ideals of financial success, or what it means to be a man, or masculine ideals today?
Julie Inman-Grant speaking there. And Tom, we've seen quite a lot of discussion happening about a social media ban for young people under the age of 16. What have the major parties been saying recently?
Yeah, James, there's a lot of momentum behind this push now. The questions are really about the practicalities. There seems to be bipartisan agreement this is a good idea, but there's still a bit of work to be done, the government says at least, as to how this could be actually enforced. The coalition is promising to introduce this social media ban on people under the age of 16 within the first 100 days of a new coalition government. The Prime Minister says he's on board with the idea. He's really supportive of the idea of restricting social media for people under 16. He just has questions about how that could be implemented. He's pointing to work already underway by the government into age verification technologies, looking at things like digital age verification tokens that could be acquired, or facial recognition technologies as well that can simply use software to predict a person's age or guess a person's age, which have been found to be fairly accurate in work overseas. The Prime Minister says this is an idea worth pursuing. Here's a bit of what he had to say on this yesterday.
The reason why we're doing the trial is that social media is having a negative impact on young people. I want people to spend more time on the footy field or the netball court than they're spending on their phones, very clearly. And a ban, if it can be effective, is a good way to go.
So, James, there's a clear cross-party push to do this. The question now is simply how.
All right, Tom Lowry, thank you.
Well, in breaking news, New South Wales Police have made 6 new arrests over the Wakeley riots that took place outside a church in Western Sydney. Our reporter Tani Josh joins us now from Sydney. Tani, what can you tell us about what police have let us know about these arrests?
Good morning, Bridget. Well, after an extensive police operation over the last couple of months, 6 more people have been charged in relation to that riot, bringing the total number of arrests to 29. Now, police say they've arrested 6 men aged between 41 and 29 years old, as well as a 17-year-old boy. Now, 3 people were arrested in their homes in Fairfield West, Green Valley and Wakeley, while the remaining 3 people were arrested at Fairfield Police Station and a jail in Cessnock. Now, this is all part of a police operation called Strike Force Dribs, set up after the riot in April jail. And while those arrested are facing a long list of charges, this isn't over yet. Police are still continuing their search for another 7 men and are calling on the public to come forward with any information.
Thanks a lot, Tani. Important news from that investigation.
Now, American reporter Evan Gershkovich will go on trial in Russia accused of espionage. The Wall Street Journal reporter was arrested in March 2023 and is accused of spying on a defence facility, allegedly for the CIA. The 32-year-old, his employer and the United States government have denied the allegations.
Former Sydney teacher Chris Dawson has lost his appeal over his murder conviction. Dawson is serving a maximum 24-year jail sentence for murdering his first wife more than 4 decades ago. All 3 judges on the New South Wales Court of Criminal Appeal found the circumstantial case against him both strong and compelling.
There's been a significant increase in the number of nicotine pouches seized at the border. The Australian Border Force says it seized 1.3 million pouches this year compared to 137,000 in the previous 2 years. The pouches are banned in Australia and the spike coincides with the federal government's ban on single-use vapes.
Flu cases are surging across New South Wales, with health authorities warning the flu season is expected to last for several more weeks.
Great.
The state's chief health officer says there were more than 25% more cases last week than the previous week. Just half of the population aged 65 and over across the state has received their flu vaccine.
2 New South Wales police officers have been charged with assaulting a 92-year-old man while attending a home in January. The officers were responding to reports of a domestic incident. The man was taken to hospital with an elbow fracture and bruising to his head and arms. The officers have been suspended and will face court in the coming months.
The Chiropractic Board is defending performing spinal manipulation on babies after the profession's governing body quietly lifted the ban on the practice. The Federal Health Minister has written to the Chiropractic Board for an urgent explanation. Medical experts are outraged at the lifting of the ban, but the Australian Chiropractors Association says a review by Safer Care Victoria found no reports of harm to children.
Federal and state governments are being told to work together to secure Hobart's future as the gateway to Antarctica. There's currently a stalemate over costs surrounding the Macquarie Wharf development. That wharf is home to the Antarctic icebreaker, and the Greater Hobart mayors are calling on all sides to work together to fix the impasse.
Quick look at the global markets for you this morning. Fair bit of red there, but the Aussie dollar pretty steady at 66.4 US cents this morning.
And scientists have confirmed that men do, yes, indeed, eat more meat than women, but it's not clear why. The researchers looked at the diets of more than 28,000 people in 23 countries on 4 continents. The findings published in Nature Scientific Reports suggest that the differences between both genders are greater within countries with higher levels of gender equality and social and economic development. Why do you reckon that is, Bridget?
I don't know. It's, I suppose there's more access to more food and more options in more wealthier countries, I suppose. But I don't know why men eat more meat.